I'm jumping on here to talk about something that I spoke about the other day on my personal Instagram, which I feel needs more attention putting onto my business page. So I spoke the other day, I logged onto Instagram, and the first thing I see is like some girl who is, kind of an average height, weight, and build, pulling her own stomach fat. I mean, like, really tugging at it. And obviously, I must have felt triggered because I felt the need to speak up about it, but not triggered in the way of like, I feel like inadequate about myself, but like how warped our perception is of, about body image and self-confidence and self-esteem and like eating disorders, and how we, I don't know how like misleading social media is when it comes to the idea that you can incite, body confidence and body positivity via posting, women or men pulling their own body fat, like pulling their fat and saying this is normal. I personally think we've, overlooked the fact that with regards to eating disorders and body image and things like that, that we don't really understand that, and it took me a long time to learn this as well, but like the symptoms of an eating disorder and the external validus of like body image and body confidence are superficial matters. So they're matters that can be addressed and changed without changing the internal narrative. So, and it's the internal narrative, it's the internal monologue, it's the relationship with sense of self that changes the dynamic with something like an eating disorder or addiction. It's basically, as I understand it, eating disorders and addictions and a lot of ways of coping with our mental health, because that's what an eating disorder is, what an addiction is. It's a way of coping, it's a way of filling the void. It's a coping mechanism. It's not what's actually wrong with you. So it is a label and it is diagnosable and it fits into a certain category of like specifications to tick those boxes to say, yep, this, and this, oh, that person's got an eating disorder, that person's got an addiction, things like that. But they are symptoms of a deeper underlying issue. And I think what I find insanely annoying is this idea that if we change that, if we change how someone looks, if we stop their addiction, if we transfer it into like a healthier coping mechanism, that the underlying issue has been solved, when actually it hasn't changed at all. And it bothers me that we are encouraging people and we continue to post these fucking stupid videos of people pulling their fat and like grabbing their own body and, doing songs and stuff and saying like, I don't know, just things like they're like hip dips are normal and things like that. Like, yeah, fine. But there's so much more going on than that. And I just think that we're lost in this realm of like superficial matters and not addressing actually the severity, and also like what what a kind of something that's labelled a disorder actually means. And I think that we are so lost as a society in normalising things that we're too concerned with normalising and not concerned with addressing. And I just think that like mental health and eating disorders and addictions, like they shouldn't be normalised. Yeah, they should be destigmatised, but they shouldn't be normalised. Like it shouldn't be normal to have an eating disorder. It shouldn't be normal to have depression. It shouldn't be normal to suffer anxiety. Yes, it's common. But common is different from normal, and by normalising it, I feel like we're making that the kind of the average way of living your life, rather than looking at it as, okay, like there's a crisis going on, there's a mental health crisis going on, and we should be looking to change that narrative and change the way that we treat mental health and change the way that we look at it, and and create more action around it. Create more action around not just coping with, but thriving. Not just coping with, but actually surviving and overcoming. And I think that my issue with social media and things like TikTok and these reels on people grabbing their body fat and normalizing these kind of behaviors and stuff, and normalizing these body images, is it's not addressing the actual issues. It's not actually helping people confront what's going on and move through it and seek help. It's telling them that if you change this superficial front of the way that something functions, so for an example, if someone with a eating disorder gains weight, or someone that's got body dysmorphia or body issue image issues, if they change that and they suddenly become fulfilled with like self-love and they gain weight, things like that, then the issues are solved. And actually nothing's changed apart from the external validus. The internal sense of self is still in turbulence, and the internal process is still distorted. And that's where the issues lie, and that's what needs to be, looked at. It needs to be understood. It needs to be acknowledged for what it was and how it's functioning in everyday life now, and how it's served the person. And then it's helping them move through that and to change those behaviours into ones that are healthier and are going to actually help them to self-regulate and to self-soothe. And I think, it just drives me mental. Like I'm so tired of logging on to my social media and seeing people like pulling their own fat and like contorting their bodies to be like, oh look, this is normal. Like, great, yes, we're normalizing this, which one, I think is wrong anyway, and two, we're just not creating action in regard to actually overcoming. We're creating action with the idea of coping, and I just don't believe that mental health should be learnt to cope with. I think it should be learnt and taught and treated as if it can be overcome.